Hey everyone, welcome to a new video. It is Monday and it is going to be all about the jelly plate and how I want to do things. Little did she know that it would take 3 days, 10 pages of expensive paper, and a lot of grief. Come along with me on this journey, a 3-day journey of discovering the jelly plate. So I used my Cricut machine to cut out a design that I created first in my sketchbook and then on my iPad. Now I'm going to use that on my jelly plate. I have the proper paper that will hopefully not tear. Oh, but it would, and much more when I am using the jelly plate. So let me put you guys up on the tripod and let's start working. So I'm using the cheap acrylic ink from Action and also the standard series acrylic, not ink, paint from Amsterdam. My paper is the Sumi from Hanmüller, which is a thicker rice paper that is usually used for Chinese ink drawings and paintings. I've noticed in the past that this has worked great for jelly plates, so that's why I decided to use this one. Here you can see the cutouts that I've done with the Cricut. I created this design first in my tablet, then I transferred it into the Cricut design space to cut it out. Unfortunately, I haven't picked the right thickness of this acetate, so when I cut it, it doesn't cut all the way out. And because I draw a thick, well, not really that thick, quasi-thin line, and this one it's thinner, and the other ones I realized my mistake. And so I have to remove that little bit of black line that I drew, and that's the part that it cuts. Whatever is black, the Cricut cuts out. Whatever is white, it leaves. So since I just drew a black line and not a solid black area, I have to remove this line. My thinking was correct because I wanted there to be a gap between the outline and the exterior and the interior, so that way the paint would just be the outline. Thinking was good, but it is very time consuming. So let me speed this up a bit, shall we? Okay, so it is all prepared. That took quite a long time. So now I'm going to grab my black. And I'm going to put black down and use my little cheap roller that I like so much, and I'm just going to roll over, and now I will remove it carefully. Put it over to the side, and now I have to remove this one. And the way that I do it is I just put my finger down to lift, and that way I do not affect any of the lines that I have left. Now the whole point of using a jelly plate is that things are not perfect. I like the grit and the imperfections and the surprises that come with using a jelly plate. So sorry if you can see my head, but I have to get quite close because I don't want to smudge the rabbit. Okay. All right, so now I just need to let this dry. It's quite a thick layer. And as always, dirty hands. All right, so I'm gonna let this dry and then I will come back. So this is a portion of the video where Christine did not plug in the microphone properly into her camera and did not record a single thing that she was saying for over maybe an hour, and only realized later when she was exporting the file. So hello to voiceover Christine. Here I am deciding how I want to approach this because this was a very impulsive way of painting and creating on a jelly plate. I had no plan except for the sketch that I had created in my sketchbook, which I had started during an art lesson to show my student how we go about creating the file in Procreate. So I did a quick drawing. I imported it into my iPad. I have several iPads in my studio for students to use to get a grasp on digital drawing. And so she was using one of the student tablets that I have. And so I was just picking colors, without any care or worry that they would clash or look bad, which, spoiler, they do. But either way, that doesn't really matter because here is the first attempt that goes poorly. So even though I picked really ugly colors, it didn't come out. And so who cares? But still, that's the problem with the jelly plate, something that I learned. Lesson number 1, plan out your colors because it's exciting to work on the jelly plate since you can't really see what you're doing. You have no idea. You need to have a very clear mental image of what's going on. Otherwise, you're going to screw it up. And that comes with practice. So all of these attempts, despite being failures, did leave me with very valuable lessons when it comes to jelly plate and working in reverse. Because with a regular traditional medium, either watercolor or acrylic, you will first be able to see what you're putting down. And secondly, you can work from back to front, which happens with watercolors. You can do the background and then the other layers, or you can do front to back, where you can do the line art first and then do the rest of the coloring and the painting. And with acrylic, you could just go back and forth. So there's really no problem there whatsoever. You are aware of what you're doing. Here, it's kind of like a riso print where you need to truly think about the layers and how each layer is going to interact with the following one. And so I thought I was doing that, but in some areas it worked out nicely, in others it did not. But it took several attempts. And here, I'm just letting things dry. I'm using different brushes to leave certain effects because that's the cool thing about the jelly plate. Depending on the paintbrush that you're using, like for example, I have that flat brush with like hog hair, which is mainly for oil. So it has a thicker hair, so it'll leave these stroke marks that look like hair. So for the hair that I have there, that all rhymed, I thought it was going to work out perfectly. Now here I'm doing the second mistake. I did not put enough and then too much in certain areas of paint. So it was quite a mix match. Things weren't covered evenly. And so when I grabbed my Sumi paper here and deciding which side I'm going to use and rubbing it, and then on top of that, not wanting to wait too long and lifting it up pretty much immediately, those were all deadly mistakes when it comes to the jelly plate. Yep, see, here I'm trying again. Still not fully lifting up. I'm even using the briar there, I think it's called, Brandon, whatever you want to call it. Just waiting, thinking, okay, well, let me put my big book up on there, wait a few minutes. Let's see if now I can pull it up. And still, nope, it was not coming up. And why? Because I did not apply enough paint to certain areas. So I thought, let me see if I lift it up again, because sometimes the ghost print or like the second pull comes out better. And this titanium buff from the standard series of Amsterdam, I love. It is the perfect consistency. And here, almost everything pulled up. And it looked kind of cool, I have to admit. It did look interesting. Not something that I would frame or sell, but it looked interesting. So I saw that as a success of the day, and that was day 1. And soon now you will be seeing day 2.
Hello. Okay, so today is Tuesday, second day with the jelly plate, and I'm holding you in my hand currently, so hopefully it's not too wobbly. I noticed with the footage that I created yesterday that there was some issues with the microphone. It's a new microphone that I'm using, and so I'm not very used to it, so I'm going to pay extra careful attention to it when I'm talking. Okay, so I noticed from yesterday the mistakes that I made, and I'm trying to create different files for each layer so that it is easier to remove the pieces and faster to create the artwork. Another thing that I realized is I need to pay attention to my color palette. So before I sit down to use the jelly plate, because it can be kind of fun and exciting to just grab any color and put it on the jelly plate, and it's just so wonderful. but I'm going to pay attention to my color palette. So I'm just going to do a quick sketch in my Moleskine sketchbook here, in this one. And I'm just going to use watercolors because I want it to be very pastel colors. And then I'll go to the jelly plate. But right now, I've already uploaded my files to the computer and I'm going to be printing them or cutting them out with the Cricut. So hopefully it goes well. Okay. So let's put, so I need to create a name for this file before I start cutting it. And it's just a beetle, so I'll just put beetle March. Okay, so I'm doing the background first. Continue. Okay, cardstock plus. I'm just thinking if I want to make it thicker, maybe I should do, no, I'll do cardstock. Okay, so now loading it into the machine, and now we can start cutting. So I did the little sketch here in my sketchbook. So you can see it's pretty much, it's just a thumbnail, just to see colors. And I also cut out the beetle and the details, and these details here look really cool. Let's see how much of a pain it is to remove them. Because the tree, let me show you the tree. The tree was kind of tricky. Like, look at all these pieces that I had to break off, or not that I had to, they broke off. So, I mean, luckily this is the main part that I want to use. But yeah, oh well, what can you do? So now let me remove the beetle there and I'll get to painting. Okay. So I have a plan, and now I need to hopefully execute it properly. I still have a bit of the paint from my last try with the rabbit, but I actually want to keep it. So it's front to back with the jelly plate. So I'm first going to be doing the beetle. And here I have the nice cut out. It's in yellow, so it might be hard to see. And I want that to be dark green. So I have here my Liquitex Chromium Oxide green. I'm going to put green on the plate, and then I'll place this, lift up the excess green that I have, and then I'll only have the beetle. Or that's at least the plan. So let's see. Put down the beetle. And now I lift. Okay. Good. So now I remove the beetle carefully, and there it is. Yes. And so now I'm going to be doing the design of the beetle. So I can use this here, and I will be carefully placing it. The legs don't line up, but that's fine. That's okay. So I'm placing this here. Good. And now I can paint inside the beetle. And let me look at my sketchbook so I can quickly see the color scheme. So I want it to be like a yellow greenish color. So let me find that. I know I have a yellow green. I know I do. Yes, or green gold, really. Okay. So I'm going to be doing some small dots of this indigo. And I think I want to do the neon for the moon and the stars that I want to add. See, once you get a hang of it, it works, and then it's okay. Ooh, I'll do the gold. That'll look nice. The gold, because I liked how that looked with the bird. Gold here. Good. Okay, so now I'm gonna let that dry. Oh, what? And I wanted the transparent, yeah, the raw sienna for the wings. So just put a little bit there, a little bit there. And let's use the roller to get that on the wings. More on this side. Good. Now I'll let it dry. And I'll be right back. Okay, so now I'm just gonna add, I think I'm going to add the yellow-green first. Green gold, sorry, that's the one. And then maybe I'll add some red. In some area. Now where did I put it? Here. Okay. Okay. I really love this color. Really, really love it. Okay, so now what do I want to add? And I'm trying to move my paints out of the way so there's not too much clutter. Oh, I already did that one. Could add a little bit of turquoise, but I'll do that with a paintbrush. You need to make sure it's nice and dry. Let's see how the results look. But it could look neat. Okay. And then I wanted to add a little bit of red. You always need to be careful with this roller, because if you have it on the wrong side, you could ruin the jelly plate. Okay. Now, once it's dry, I think I will add, I don't know, thinking of adding, maybe just a layer of the yellow, but I'll let that dry a bit more. A few seconds, I'll be right back. Okay, so I think it's dry. Now I'm just going to do a layer of the yellow for the beetle. It's probably a bit too much. Oops, we don't want that. Okay. So now I'm going to remove this because I'm done with Mr. Beetle. There. And now I am going to do the tree. I'm going to do the tree. So I'll put this on where I kind of want it to be. Nope, not there. Yeah, like that. And unfortunately it broke. So I need to adjust it. There. Okay. So now I can do the brown. I want it in nice, like dark Van Dyke brown or a burnt umber brown. So I'm going to grab my Sennelier paint because that's the first one that I saw. And let's roll this glorious, beautiful, lush brown all over the place. Here, there seems to be quite a lot. Okay. Now, time to remove this. And these. Nice. Very nice, very nice. Now I'll just use my rag to clean the areas where I don't want to have brown or turquoise. But it seems that the brown is already quite dry. Okay. Now what is missing? Just adding some leaves and then a background. And that's it. That is it. And I wanted to do a very light blue background. Light blue. Right. So I have my green here for the leaves. Check on the time. Oops. And I'll just add some of the leaves because it's spring, so they should be nice. Nice and bright green. New foliage. See, once you plan it out, it's not that difficult to get it. Hopefully, well, I might be speaking too early. Try the last words, but ideally, in a perfect world, this would now release and everything would be in the right place and the color palette would not be too distracting.
it would work. We'll see. Should probably have more down here. Okay. A couple more. All right. I'll let that dry. And then it's just the background. And then Bob's your uncle. It is done. All right, so I'll be right back. Okay, so I took a lunch break. This is now completely dry. And so that means that I can do the background. But first, I think I wanted to add maybe like a little flower. I do have this here, but I think it's a bit too big. Yeah, okay, so I'll just do the background. So I will grab these two colors, maybe even a bit of this, and now I'm going to mix them. I'm using Parchment, Brilliant Blue, and then the cheap turquoise. Or no, actually, I'm not going to use the Parchment. I'm going to use my Titanium Buff. I really liked that one. So I'll put some there. Put just a little bit. Just a little itty bitty bit. That wasn't a little bit, but that's what I'm going to use. Now let me find my trusty roller and mix it. Probably need more Titanium Buff to mix, even though I really like this blue. Really, really like it. Just gonna add a little bit more of this. Just a little there. And mix it in. Okay, now let me grab the paper. Where's the paper? Here behind me. Okay, and let's put it down gently. Okay. So let's see. All right, so it almost all came off. Certain parts it didn't. I believe I should have done a bit different colors here for the beetle. But overall, I think it works. So in principle, it works. The only thing is that I need to just do a darker line for the beetle. Lighter background. But yeah, so using the acetates to create a template and then really thinking about what comes first and what comes last works. Success! Okay, am I recording? Okay. Hello, hello. Third day of Jelly Plate. So today I wanted to do an easier technique, which is to transfer an image using a ballpoint pen.
I've done this time and time again, and I always love the result, and you get the nice intricate detail. And I'm actually going to use this side that has a bit of this because I think that would be interesting. So I'm going to grab my drawing. So this is the drawing here, as you can see, and I'll put it up there. And so what I did was I first drew it in my sketchbook. First drew it here in my sketchbook. And then I photocopied it with my printer and I printed it out on this thicker craft paper. And then I really pressed down with my ballpoint pen. And then from there, I'm going to be transferring it onto here. So let me grab my supplies and I can start. Okay, so I'm actually going to do a mixture of the brown, of the burnt umber and the indigo for the line art. And then I will go from there. So I'm using the Sennelier burnt umber, which I need to clean because it was in my almost emptied out. Oh, is that going to be too thick? We shall see. Yeah, I think it's going to be too thick. There you go. Starting to mix now. So I'm pressing extra hard where I know there is nothing, and then just doing very light pressure everywhere else. Let's take a little quick peek. Yep. Transferred nicely. Lovely. Absolutely lovely. Let me see if I can get a closer view for you there. See, it transfers so beautifully. Okay, so now I'm gonna let that dry a bit, and then I'm gonna come back and I'll do the rest. Okay, so I would like to mix some colors for the skin. And I'm using a dry brush as last time. So I'm actually intentionally adding water to my brush because I want there to be these breaks in the color so that then when I put another layer on top, I can see it. That is my plan. And the color that I'm going to be using underneath is gold. So I need to look for that. And I'm thinking of doing like neon colors for the hair, but of course, as usual, I always need to let it dry. And I think I threw away my piece of paper that I was using as a fan, so I need to go look for a new one. Okay, so now I'm going to be putting on the final layer. And I'm going to be using a transparent, or no, not transparent, light, how do you pronounce this? Phthalo cyan green and a light blue violet. Do the light blue violet here, and the other one higher up. I might mix a bit of parchment. Okay. I have my paper prepared. And let's get started. Break down. Okay. And now I'll be back in a few minutes. Okay, so I've left it for a few minutes. Now that's a clean pull. That turned out really nice. It has that vintagey vibe. Oh yeah, I really like it. You can see a bit of the shimmer of the gold in there, and then you see the lines of the brush strokes. I think it turned out really, really good. I'm very pleased. Very pleased. And so now I think that I can end this video. Okay, so I've learned quite a lot through doing these different experiments with jelly plate. I think they turned out really, really good. There are things that I didn't like, but each piece and each moment have given me something very valuable to learn from. And this last one, I think it turned out pretty cool. So thanks for watching this video, guys, and I will see you next time.